Conversations in the QC is sponsored by Accentra Credit Union.
Welcome to Real Conversations. This month, we're taking time to highlight single mothers in the Quad Cities. Being a single parent in general is one of the hardest, most unseen and underappreciated roles there is, but it's also one of the most rewarding experiences one can go through. This month's episode shines a light on all the different aspects of motherhood. Listen in as we speak to those who are making a difference in the lives of their children every day. First, it was all a conversation about resilience and growth. I spoke with Tanisha Blanche and dug deeper into her personal journey in motherhood. In this segment, we're going to get into more of her personal story as a single mother and what it means to establish and live a life of resilience and growth. Tanisha, thank you for joining me today. First off, tell me more just about your story, who you are, and what you feel comfortable sharing about your children.
Yeah, so of course, I'm a single mom. I'm 20 years old. I don't have the single momhood figured out yet, but as I go forward, I've started sharing my journey on social media. I started sharing my journey about a year ago. I started my TikTok. I actually had my TikTok for quite some time. It was more like entertainment, but I decided to turn it into something positive. So I decided to just share my story publicly, and I've grown my own community doing that because I used to watch single moms on social media, and it really motivated me because single moms have different stories. And so when I was watching social media, TikTok, I felt inspired. So I just decided to share my story. So I do TikTok. I'm a content creator. I'm a business owner as well. I do a lot of baking, and I do want to show my kids what it's like to have their own like business and stuff. So one step at a time, but I'm really excited to be able to share my journey and to continue to be an influencer to the youth community.
Absolutely. And so what an inspiring story there for sure. Now, how would you say you would use TikTok when you you do a lot of day in the lives and again the baking? What is kind of just that like overall? Do you feel like the pressure of, as many people say, of what social media creates this idea in nowadays of the perfect life and just creates perfect narrative? How do you bring your realness to the table?
Well, a lot of it is raw and uncut. When I first started TikTok, it's growth. So like I would go through different trials and tribulations. When you're on social media, a lot of people tend to do is try to relate, like compare other people's like how they live to yours. And I think that's where a lot of like social media content creators fail. I just like to be the real. I don't have all the money in the world. I don't have a 12-foot ceiling. I drive an okay car. And so I think my followers like me to be real. So I definitely, in every TikTok that I have is not perfect. So I just like to be real. And I think that's what keeps your audience. You don't want to like, it's nothing skidded. I don't plan it. I don't have anything. I just go with the flow. I don't have skits, I should say.
Don't fake the funk.
Yeah, I don't fake the funk. I definitely am real, and I do have loyal supporters that they like my videos, they comment, and I want to grow my platform to be really big because I just feel like people, you never know, there's like people that come to me and say, I enjoy watching your videos. Like a single dad reached out to me. He's actually local here, and I didn't know that, and said, you really inspire me. I'm a single dad, and I really enjoy watching your videos. And that stuff, it keeps me going. Like, I'm a single mom of 3, and I really actually enjoy doing TikTok, whether I get paid or not, whether I get 2 views, 100,000, 1 million views, I'ma still post my videos.
As you should. As you should.
And I'm trying to expand on each platform. TikTok is definitely my platform. Okay. But there's different people on each platform. So I'm really excited to continue to expand my content journey.
That's really awesome. Yeah. That's what a story for sure. Yeah. Now, what would you say is the best part about being a single mother?
The best part, I get my kids to myself. That sounds selfish. I'm not really one of those people that likes to, I don't have to like communicate. I mean, I do communicate with my kids as dad, but it's just, it's just different. It's rewarding for sure. To see the growth in my kids, stuff that they learn.
That quality time.
Yeah, the quality time, the one-on-one time. Like, I love all my kids differently, but equally. There's different traits that all my kids have. I have to love my kids differently. My oldest has a brain condition, and I'll get into that. I'm going too far ahead, but it's rewarding for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I love that for sure.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what is something that you also wish you had known before becoming a mother? Something that out there that you're just like, if only I had this piece of advice, this would have made things a little bit easier.
Honestly, if I'm gonna keep it real, I feel like even just going down to choosing who you have kids with. Like, I was young. I was 18. I had just got out of a domestic relationship. Literally, I left my ex. We were together for 3.5, 4 years in high school. I was in a relationship my whole high school, from sophomore to senior. One person, left him because it was just a toxic situation. Left him, and then that's when I met my kids' dad. So 2016, I left my high school sweetheart. I got pregnant the same year, the end of the year. Had my daughter in June, and then I got pregnant with my son. That's 2017, the year that I had my daughter. I got pregnant with my second child. So I had 2 kids under the age of 1 by the age of 21.
Wow.
And, you know, things would be different if I chose wisely, but
You live, you learn.
yeah, some things you don't know until things happen. So I'm not going to regret it. I don't dwell on it. I think things will be different, but I'm just living and I'm learning, and I am definitely breaking generational curses now.
That's a word for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for so much for really comfortable sharing that.
Yeah.
So sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah.
And you're clearly living a life of resilience and moving past that, which is extremely admiring for sure. And that kind of takes me to my next question as well. What would you say are the main struggles you face as a single mother, and how do you overcome them as well?
Well, you know, when you're a single mom, it's just you. Like, I'm literally 3 against 1. So I feel like I'm in the WWE some days. I swear. It can get challenging. I think the most is crazy because, like, you know, you're the cook, you do laundry, you clean, you got to drive to school. I mean, it's a lot. Like, you are literally a physical therapist, not a physical therapist, like, you got to talk to them. What's going on today? You know, your kids are acting up. You have to be able to hopefully just, like, I never really got that talk, you know. I really do, like, my grandparents raised me, so my mom didn't raise me. My mom or dad didn't raise me. My grandparents did, and they did what they could do. They were 50 and I was there. They were 50 years old and I was 2 years old. So just imagine the struggles. But days do get challenging. But I just continue to just overcome the resilience, continue to overcome those challenges, and just pray about it. And continue to break generational curses, continue to give my kids what I didn't get growing up.
Now, also, would you say that it's something that you struggle, many mothers, period, in general, especially within the Black community, struggle with postpartum depression? It's a real thing. It's a real topic, of course. Is that something you feel like you have? Is that something you have faced at all? Is that something that you were able to overcome as well? Just, do you have any kind of relatability to that as well?
Actually, yes. So, out of all my 3 kids, I've only had postpartum with 1, which was my second. That was a struggle for me, honestly. There'd be days that, and I was still semi with their dad at the time, but I really just there'd be days I sit on the couch and I'm just crying with my baby. I really faced a lot of challenges with my second. I had challenges with all my kids, different challenges. But with my second one, it was hard. I was in the hospital a lot. And I did have postpartum, you know. I've already had depression. I already faced mental like depression, anxiety already. So having postpartum, it just enhanced. It added to the stress. Far as overcoming it, I just, you know, again, I tried to make time for me, but it was hard. I don't even know how I overcame it. I just did. It was just something that you just do. I don't have a method for it, but it was a struggle. And I don't remember having postpartum with any of my other kids.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Now, when you hear the term resilience and growth, especially when it relates to something like postpartum, what does that mean to you exactly?
Overcoming obstacles, you know, being a single mom, like there are good and bad days. What I like to focus on, I want there to be more good days than bad. Like it's not peaches and cream. It's not perfect. I don't wake up with everything just perfect and like I have my life together. Like I struggle, you know. Financially, there's been financial struggles. I was really poor with my first two. Like I was poor. So resilience definitely means overcoming the obstacles, struggles, being positive, you know. You have to, and also surrounding yourself with people that want to see you grow. Because if you don't, you'll see yourself falling back down. And that's why now I'm definitely breaking generational curses.
Absolutely. I know the term. You say it all, hear it all the time. It takes a village, but the village is not necessarily just for the kids, that establishment. It's for yourself as well to keep your mental sanity, I'm sure, as well. Now, how would you say you emulate that and direct and raise your kids in a way of also living a life of resilience and growth? What do you do implementing in them to make sure that they are also living that life of positivity?
Well, definitely making time, family time, because my son, like I said, all my kids struggle with different things, but you know, kids do certain things. They're not going to say, of course, they're kids, but there's a cry for help. So if they need my attention and I'm learning, and anybody can say nothing comes before my kids, not a job, not relationships, family. Like it's literally like I feel like it's me and my kids against the world. So I just try to speak positivity into them. You know, my son struggled a lot with he would just say like, I'm stupid and I'm ugly, and I would be like, no, you're not stupid, you're not ugly. Like you have to put those positive thoughts in his brain, positive affirmations into his brain, so he knows that those things are true. And that goes for all my kids. Praying at night, the little kids' prayers. So just like those things, you know, I didn't get when I grew up. I didn't have a typical village. Like my mom and dad didn't raise me. My grandparents raised me. They did a wonderful job, and I really, truly thank them for that. They did what they can do, and I'm just gonna take how I've been raised and turn it into something even better for my kids.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good story there for sure. And then finally, just what advice would you give to other single mothers out there who are struggling to see that light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, and live their own lives with resilience and growth? What steps would you take to them to, you know, see that light and just live that life of positivity, whether it be self-care, whether it be using social media as a platform? You know, what would you say to them out there who are looking for that just extra bit of push?
Definitely, even just like surrounding yourself with single moms, that can help. Getting yourself like a single mom, you know, like friends and stuff. And definitely self-care. I just really feel like if you look good, you feel good. Like, and that's true, you know. And it's okay to ask for help. Like honestly, when I had my youngest, is the most that I've ever asked anybody to help me with my kids. And that's just going like, hey, can you watch the kids while I go to the grocery store? Even though going to the grocery store, I wouldn't consider that as a break, but it is.
It's a alone time.
It's a long time. And like I said, if you can avoid those stressful situations to help your mental, do that. There's been times where, like, I know my kids gonna cut up at the stove, and I am not taking them to the store. I am not taking them to the store because they're gonna cut up. We still learning. Yeah, yes. So we are learning how to be in public. We haven't overcame that yet. I can admit that. But yeah, just ask for help. It's okay. And my way to overcome my struggles was posting on my social media. Seeing those people reach out to me, actually emailing me, texting me, asking for advice, it pushed me to keep going to inspire you guys. So if I'm inspiring other single moms, they can inspire somebody else. It's like a chain of reaction.
Absolutely. Now, that was gonna be my last question, but actually, I want to. What's next? What is next for Tanisha Blanche when it comes to you're raising your kids, just living your life of positivity, social media? What's next for you?
So I've decided with myself that it's time to put me first. In order to do that, I have to put me first for my kids. Because if I don't put me first, them kids ain't gonna see the best version of me. So I want to focus on entrepreneurship, showing my kids what it's like to build something for them, for us, and continue to break those generational curses. So I want to focus on my social media, um, my social media and my baking. I do baking on the side. I really enjoy baking, so that's another way to relieve some stress.
Oh.
Put them kids to bed and start baking them cookies, girl.
Anything for some self-care.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. This is probably the best feeling that I've had, actually being a single mom, that I've had in a long time. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Well, that's super exciting. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. We do appreciate it. You're living that life of resilience and growth and overcoming obstacles that only so few can imagine.
Yeah.
And like you said, breaking those generational curses, very important. So thank you so much for joining us today.
You.
Thank you. Next up, a topic many single parents know about: co-parenting. Tim Stinson has the success story of Tiffany Stoner, and she talks more about the positive example she is setting through her co-parenting arrangements.
Dr. Tiffany Stoner Harris, welcome to Real Conversations.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
Good.
Good.
Glad to be here.
It's good to have you here. I'm glad you decided to do this. Like always, I think we're going to learn a lot today, talking about co-parenting, of course. And I love the conversation that we had off camera, learning a lot. Those are always sometimes the best conversations I have. But I really want to get into some, I know with co-parenting, talking to some other people that I know about co-parenting, there's some positives with it, and sometimes there's some challenges every now and then. But let's talk about you and your co-parenting right now. Why don't we start with a little bit, how did your co-parenting journey begin, and what was those early days like?
Ooh. Okay, so my co-parenting journey began 18 years ago. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's just as fresh today as it was back then. Ironically, I say, even though our three daughters are all adults, there's still very much elements of co-parenting. They're all single adults, so they're still pretty connected to family. But kind of going back to answer your question, in the beginning, I would say it was definitely a learning process. Going from being a two-parent household, intact family, as some would say, to and actually my ex-husband was military at the time, and so not only were we divorcing, but he was also relocated within that time frame as well, to another state, and so we were co-parenting across state lines, which was interesting, a challenge for sure at times.
Right.
Just trying to make sure the girls stay connected, with their dad and vice versa. But in the beginning, I would say, for me, I was trying to balance my own grief early years, like she had no recollection of us as a married couple. And so I think that was one of the things that really kind of pushed me to make sure like they stay connected. And even that their dad and I she was able to see us work collaboratively together,
Right.
even though we weren't, we were no longer a married couple. But I just thought that was important for her to see that, that part.
So what changed over time? The breakup happens. He moves out of state. Girls are young. It's a shock to everybody. But over the years, I guess what the positive things was a lot of just open communications, that you have a good network of family and friends here, as well as him having a good network. How did that grow?
Yeah, I would say, we were fortunate to have a support system. So his family here, my family here, really just wrapped around the girls. And so that was a blessing in itself. Communication, we didn't always communicate in the best ways in the beginning. However, I will say, whenever we disagreed early on, and even to this day, I'd say, we were able to kind of shield the girls from that. So, they didn't have to hear or see or be a part of those disagreements. And I am truly thankful for that, because I feel like that was also a part of that stability that they needed to see us working together, even though he and I knew that, we weren't seeing eye to eye, and, maybe sometimes didn't even really like each other, if I'm being honest. But they didn't have to know that.
Yeah.
And, and that's so important, for parents to really figure out how to have those disagreements and be, in authentic relationships, but also how to navigate or, move in a different way so that the kids don't get hurt in that process, because you will disagree. Like, if you didn't disagree, you'd probably still be married,
Right. Right. There you go.
So, I mean, that's a part of, that's just going to naturally happen, but it's how you deal with it.
Yeah. So were there times that, like, say, those disagreements, sometimes it can be some small disagreements, and other times it could be some big disagreements, and sometimes
Those things, I, and not let them get caught in this tug of war.
wrapping things up, there's viewers out there watching who are just getting into this space, just becoming, I don't want to say becoming, but for some reason, there's a breakup happening, and they have children, and they're going to have to decide, am I going to be, how do I co-parent? You've touched on a lot of things. Respect really sticks out in my mind. You respect each other. The second thing that you had talked about was that he might not do everything the way you do it, and vice versa. But again, you respect each other as long as everything was safe, that they were going to be safe and things. Anything else that you can share with someone walking into this space now?
Yeah, I would say you also really want to have healthy ways to deal with whatever does come up for you, because things will come up. I can think about like times when the girls went with their dad, and I was sad, like, because they were gone, and we weren't a intact family, and they were maybe spending a holiday with him, but I know he also had to deal with that when they were spending a holiday with me. And so at that time, during those times, I would say having safe spaces, healthy spaces to process those feelings. I've learned over the years that it isn't something where you just want to run around and talk with everybody about, just like in your marriage or relationship, you don't just want to run around and talk with everybody about what you're dealing with. Having an objective space can be really nice. Having someone that's not tied to either of you,
Okay.
who can sit and, kind of listen and just hear, what you're experiencing, what the needs are of the whole group, and who can really give you honest feedback, and not from an emotional space because they're connected to either of you, but just because they're truly just being a listener and, again, being able to view it through that objective lens. I mentioned healing also, and so one of the things that helped me was having a counselor, like working through my grief and the things associated with the loss of a marriage, and then also thinking about my future, at the same time, and my future with the girls, as now, then as a single parent, because that became a different dynamic for me and for them. And so I would say, having those supports, healthy supports, and, making sure that, again, and I'll say this again, centering the kids, centering the children as much as you can in your decision making, in the way you are communicating or engaging with the other parent. Also, being mindful not to have those negative conversations about the other parent in front of the kids. Because as much as people say, well, they weren't listening, and, I said it so that they couldn't hear, kids hear everything.
They hear everything.
Kids hear everything.
Oh, man,
and that's
true.
their parent.
Yes.
That you're both their parents.
Yes.
So, they're going to see themselves as a reflection of both of you. So if they're hearing those negative thoughts and feelings, then ultimately that could have an impact on the children.
Okay.
So,
all right. So when do we expect your book to come out then? Because I think you have a lot to put in there and stuff, and a lot of great information that you shared.
okay.
So I appreciate you taking the time and coming on, because like I said, I think a lot of, I don't know, but there are some people out there I feel that probably are getting ready to walk into the space or just stepped into the space. And I think a lot of things that you shared with us today have really helped. So thank you so much for being a part of Real Conversations with us.
For having me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such an important topic.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you too.
One of the hardest things parents battle is balancing it all. From having a career to personal lives, then adding on having children can be complicated. Jasmine Butler sat down with a group of Black mothers who are showing that you truly can do it all.
And today I have two single Black mothers who are very career driven. I'll be chatting with Brooke Scott, who is a student success liaison at Cello Intermediate in Davenport, and she's also a certified nurse assistant in the health field. And then I also have Amber Bruce, who is the owner of Mira's Hair Salon here in Davenport. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited about this conversation. So what strategies do you find most effective for managing your time between work and parenting? And Brooke, I'm gonna start with you. You're the mother of two young girls, ages 9 and
8 and 4.
8 and 4, 9, 8 and 4. So yeah, how do you manage your time, especially working two jobs?
Right now, I have to use my calendar faithfully. I write down a lot of things. I navigate my schedule around my kids' schedule and just try to remain organized like that.
That's perfect. And then Amber, you're very busy with the active, how old is he?
He's 15, he'll be 16.
Almost 16-year-old athlete. So how do you manage your time?
Like she said, write everything down. We never put our phones down ever. So use the calendar in the phone. I said timers, reminders, and also never to procrastinate. Like even those days where you don't want to do it, that's the days you definitely do it, because you got to keep it on track, and it's nobody but us doing it. So if we fall apart at the seams, everything falls apart. So just know that everything rests on my shoulders. Like it gets me through the day.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. So do you guys add, because both of your guys' children are very, very involved with extracurricular activities as well. So do you guys just factor all of that into your day-to-day?
Everything for me as well. I know a lot of days, those days are sectioned off for, I work my day job, but I don't pick up at the night job, just to make sure I'm available so they can do those extracurricular activities.
Yeah, that's very important.
And for me, it's like if Orion has somewhere to be this day, this time I'm opposed to me starting my day at 9 o'clock in the morning, I may be starting at 6 o'clock in the morning so I can finish up early. But for me, is you can't just not work. You have to work. You just gotta work around your schedule.
Yeah, I get it. So how do you prioritize self-care while juggling your responsibilities? Sometimes we as mothers do not get that. So one thing that I do personally is I do like 30 minutes of downtime. Even if it's 11:30 at night, I need my 30 minutes to just bring it in. Let me think about everything. So what are some things that you guys do to just give yourself your time?
One of the things I do is I sit in the car for a few minutes before I go enter the house. Especially I'm working with kids all day, and then you still have to be mentally when you go in your own home. So I might decompress in my car for 30 minutes or so. And then I always try to make sure I at least keep one full day off where I'm not working extracurricular activities, whether if I do something for myself in the morning, then at the family time in the evening, or vice versa. Try to squeeze in yoga or just laughing and talking, just relaxing. So.
Yeah, so very important. Amber, what do you do?
For me, I make sure like my self-care is important to me because I want to keep my nails done. My hair is always done. To me, my appearance matters because I want my son to see what it looks like to be successful and to care about your appearance. So then that's something that he can mirror. So I make sure no matter what's going on, if it's not enough money to do it, I'm going to make sure it is enough money to do it. But I have to keep my nails and I have to keep my hair done. Like keeping myself up, that is self-care for me.
Yes, that's very important too, because if you're not happy within yourself, then you can't express that happiness. Yeah, but you can't even pour into your children if you're not pouring into yourself. Exactly, they do, especially with you having girls.
Yes.
With, you having a son, yes, like support, but with you having girls, like that's very important for them to see that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's self-care.
Yes.
Yes, it is. So what challenges have you faced in your career as a single mother, and how have you overcome them?
Financial. I mean, it's a struggle having 2 kids, single mother. So, I work a lot at that. That's why I have 2 jobs to pick up. I realize now I probably need to go back and make changes as far as furthering my education so I can make more money for the girls and I as they grow and do different things and as they're adding. And I try to make sure that I don't know, just plan. I mean, I have a lot of family that's supportive too, so that helps with my career. So.
Do you have any issues as far as like taking off for like any of your girls' activities or anything? Do you have any issues with that?
I'm blessed with the jobs that I have time and they understand. I'm able to navigate to where, to where I can take off to be available for the girls.
That's a blessing. And Amber, you're your own boss.
Period. So for me is the thing I struggle with the most is being 100 places at the same time. And Orion barely gives me moments notice. That's why it's important for me. I'm over involved, so I don't have to rely on him to, Mom, I need to do this, I need to do that. So for me is, just being aware and knowing, and then having a village. When you have a village, and you can't be all these places, it works out. And your village don't have to be big. Your village, the kind of people you have in your village is what's the most important. I got 3 people in my village, but those are 3 great people. And as long as our end goal is the same, for the betterment of my child, then that's my village and we gonna make it happen. And then the thing that I do the most is when I can't be there, I don't dwell on it. I just make sure I'm there for the important stuff. I never miss the important stuff. So it's big to prioritize the important stuff over the smaller things, so you don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah. So you both have already kind of mentioned your village. Are there any other resources or support systems that have been particularly helpful within your raising your kids?
Well, I mean, like she said, my family's my village. Like that's really my support system. I'm blessed to have parents that are still here and that they pour a lot into my girls. And then I have extended family and a church family. So that is my village right there that I have to support us and help me when I can't be available.
And Amber, I know you've already mentioned your village, your support system, but I also know that your son is very active. So coaches.
So that's what's important to me. I express that, you know, in the school system, in the AAU system, having a coach is like, for a black boy, is like having a second father, but for a lot of black boys, it's like having a father, period. You know, so it's important that you put your kids in good surroundings with good people. Like, I'm leaving you with my child for hours at a time. I need to make sure you're pumping, you know, positivity into him and you're being stern on him when need be. And I just have to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah. So what are some characteristics that you look for when deciding who is coaching your son?
Just, you know, watching them be with other kids, how they are with their own children, if they have children, with their own family. You know, teenage boys are very moody, probably more moody than teenage girls, to be honest with you. So just seeing how somebody is with my son, like, and just having proper discernment and being able to really sit down and see, like, how he is, like, to the touch, or when he's talking to my son, how my son is looking at him and how he's looking at my son, and just knowing that somebody is a positive black male, or doesn't even have to be black, just a positive role model anyway.
Yeah, that's a blessing to have. How do you handle feelings of guilt when you can't be there for your kids as much as you like? Amber, you've already touched on that. We know that you big
my
things.
shower wall in peace. Like, because there's nobody else. I literally was just talking about this yesterday. My, like, independency comes from me feeling like there's nobody coming to save me. So if it's something that I can't do, like, I don't want Orion to see that. Like, and I know it's crazy and people say, well, it can't always be like that. He's not going to see me off my game like that. And not to say that he never has, but I get it together quick. And like I said, I will cry in my shower and slide down my bedroom wall in peace by myself.
And he will never know.
Yes.
And Brooke, how do you handle when you can't be there for everything, or when that feeling of, I don't want to disappoint my kids, but
I don't think I've quite navigated. I don't think I've really conquered that.
Yeah.
I think I still battle with that, but the reassurance of the village I have and just the support. I do try to let my girls know that it's not going to be like this forever, you know, and that's why I have to make different choices to better our lifestyle. But I just want them to know that I do work hard, and if I could be there for everything, I would. It does hurt, but you push through. You push through, and you have to lean on those that are there for you and that are willing to be there.
Or you can melt down like Amber.
That too. Look, I have
Just say that you're never going to put yourself in that version of that predicament. Like, it may happen again, but you know, hey, when I did it this way this time, it didn't work.
Yes.
So now you navigate your way differently.
Yeah.
Because you had that meltdown.
Yes. So how do you involve your children in your career at all, if you have to?
Well, I don't have to. Orion involves himself. Orion got business cards in his bag. He's telling girls I can lay their edges. My mom does hair. My mom can do your hair. My mom does everything. Like, and then, like, it was important to me, like, starting my business was like when Orion was, you know, younger. So I had 2 babies at once, and he was there. You know, he cut my ribbon with me. Our hands were on the shears together when he cut the ribbon. So it's very important to me that, like I said, that he sees somebody be strong and successful. And like, so when he decides to find a wife, or he like, I watched my mom do X, Y, Z, like, I'm not impressed. We need to, you know, so it's important for me to show him at all times. And he's always right there just watching. So
does he know how to line up and cut?
he called himself wanting to be a barber one year, and it's me. Whatever if Orion wanted to sell oranges, we gonna have the juiciest oranges in town. I got him some clippers, and he turned them on, and he was like, "So who am I going to practice on?" I'm like, "Well, not me. You got to practice on yourself first." And he's like, he didn't want to do that. So, it just comes and goes.
Yeah. And Brooke, what about you? How do you involve your children in your career? I know you're also very involved with some things in the community, and I noticed that you do bring the girls when you have to. But as far as like your career with the school district, do you involve them with anything?
If we have certain activities there, I could take them to the games with us after school. They're very welcome. Sometimes they have little carnivals, and if she's out early enough, they could come to it. In the healthcare field, it's always a plus. It gives back to the elderly, the residents that I take care of. They enjoy the kids when they come in. It always puts a smile on their face, and my kids are always interested and want to go see them. So that's how I involve them.
Mm-hmm. That's great. It's very important, Amber, like you mentioned, for our children to see hardworking Black women, and for you guys to do it with, being single, not having that additional help in home is fantastic. So what advice would you both give to other single mothers trying to balance work and family life?
I would say don't be hard on yourself. Just know if it's coming from a good place and you're trying your hardest, you might not accomplish everything right then and there, but with goal setting and time and prioritizing, you'll make the end goal. Just don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, that's great. Amber?
For me, I feel like everything I do, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, is me thinking of the betterment of my child. So I feel like as a single mother, like if you think about your children and everything you do, it's going to be positive. Like, so just stay positive, and like we said, you use your phone, use that counter. That counter is going to be your best friend. Like, I cannot stress that enough. Kids, they have their own lives, and you just want to make sure everything stays on task and on time, and you run a tight ship. And like she said, don't get down on yourself, and learn from your mistakes. So
that too. That's key. Learning from your mistakes.
Especially with the 8-year-old and the 4-year-old.
Yeah. I get to try and get it right.
Yes.
Try again. So like I tell Orion, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never been a mom before. So like I tell him, we're growing up together. We're going through this together, and I'm going to make mistakes and you're going to make mistakes. But like we said, we're going to make sure we don't do that version of that mistake again. We're going to try our best.
I agree.
Yes. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us on Real Conversations. Continue to be great mothers and great members of our community. Thank you so much
for having us.
So you give birth to this precious joy and wonder what they will become when they get older and leave home. But the one thing you always hold on to is the bond you share with them. Joshua Blount spoke to Black moms and their children about the bond shared between them.
Joining me now is Tracy Singleton and her son, Nick, and Constant Hickson, her son, Jazair. How are y'all today?
Good, thank you.
That's great to hear. Thank you for joining me. So let's just jump right into it, right? In what ways do you feel your bond with your child has been uniquely shaped by being both the primary caregiver and the sole parent in the home?
I would say for me, there's this saying that Black mom says, like, I'm not your little friend. And as much as I wanted to sometimes, I couldn't be his friend, right? Because I was the primary caregiver for him and the only parent in the home. So I feel now like, they feel like they can tell me now things that they used to do that I didn't know that they did. But I felt like I had things under control, right? And so you are in that unique position where maybe if there was someone else in the home that could be the disciplinarian, then you could be the friend. But I didn't have that option of doing that. I had to be the disciplinarian. I had to be the strict one. I had to be the one that made sure that they followed the rules of the home. And then if they didn't, then I had to be the bad guy as well. So I would say that for me, anyway, that was the challenge of doing that, because Nick is a very funny guy, and he's just a good person. So as much as I wanted to kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna let this slide, I couldn't. let it slide.
How about for you, Constance?
I am like the cool kind of mom, but when I have to put my foot down, I have to put my foot down. It's hard, sometimes being the mom and just the mom and dealing with, dealing with your children, because sometimes you want them to be, feel like they can open up to you about just anything, but then at the same time, it's like certain things you feel like it's not for you as a mother, but being the only parent in a home, you have to be accepting to whatever it is that come your way, but at the same time, you have to be a parent. And that's what makes it so hard, because Jazier, I have two. My youngest one is not here, but Jazir's my oldest, and they have different personalities. And when you have different personalities, you have to deal with them different ways. Some need more, and the other one can be really laid back. But then the other one, Jazir, I feel like he needs the more attention. And my youngest one, he might need it, but he don't show it. So you have to be transparent when it comes, being a parent inside of the home when you're the only one. So.
Okay, so that actually leads me to my next question. How has navigating challenges together, influenced the trust and communication in your relationships with your sons?
I would say, Nick's my best friend. Now, Nick won't say that about me, but I have always said Nick is my best friend. I was a teen mom, so I had him when I was 18 years old. So I seen this quote that says, you raise your first child, or you grow up with your first child, you raise your last child. And I really did grow up with Nick. So Nick has seen everything, the good and the bad. And I still get that unconditional love from a son to a mom for him. So that helps me go when I feel like I've made a bad decision or I didn't make the best judgment. He still loves me. And so for me, that's all that matters. So we have developed a very close bond. We've always been very close. Once again, though, like there were things that he's done that I didn't know that he did that he feels comfortable with telling me now. And it wasn't horrible things, but I'm just like, gosh, I trusted you so much. Like I just knew you was in bed asleep. I know you had took my car and left, right? So, but even to this day, he's usually one of the first people I call. If I have good news, if I have bad news. I know just the other day, I said, I got to talk to you about something. And he's like, okay, wait, is this something serious? And I said, no, it's not nothing. He's like, oh, okay. Well, he would have listened if it was serious, but I just know I can always call him and talk to him even now.
What about you, Constance?
Yeah, that's pretty much how I am with Jazier. I was in the teen mom. I had Jazier when I was 26. So I got a chance to experience a lot of things, but me being the baby of my family, I was always spoiled. And so I had to grow he had to grow with me, and I had to grow with him because I was a first time mom, but at the same time, I was the baby of the family. So I always kind of was petted a little bit, I should say. So he kind of got the good, he got the bad, he got to see everything or whatever. And sometimes he probably think that I'm more harder on him. It's not that I'm harder on him. It's just I want him to be better than me.
Right.
So when you go through tough times, with your child, what moments or challenges have actually brought you all closer together instead of pulling you apart?
So with me, like once a week, because we all have like busy schedules, because I work 2 jobs. And then they have sports and just everything going on. I try to sit down with them once a week and talk about what's going on. How's your mental? Is there anything that I need to work on as a parent? Because sometimes we, as parents, we feel like everything that we do is right.
Yeah.
And that's not true. Or we feel like they can't have an opinion. That's not true. So I sit down with both of my boys, I at least try to once a week, and just kind of go over everything. Is there something that I need to work on, or is there something that makes you angry? Just their whole mental, there's everything, school, sports, anything that I can help them with, or anything that I need to be helped, because I'm not perfect either, And so that's what I do to try to make things better as a whole in my family.
What about you, Tracy?
I would say the most challenging time is when Nick's father passed away. Nick had a good relationship with his father. I remember his father actually telling me, you can teach him how to be a good person, but you can't teach him how to be a man. And so he spent more time with his father than he did with me. And I knew how close they were. So for me to now have to step in as the only parent that he has, it added a layer of responsibility on me to always make sure he was taken care of, because that's what his dad did. His dad always made sure he was taken care of. And I didn't always make the right choices. As I said, Nick, when he could have left, he didn't. He stayed there to help me navigate through my challenging times. And so to this day, I hate to say this in front of him, but there's really nothing he couldn't ask me for that I'm not going to do for him. I always say, even with like the kids that are here, and kids go through some challenge, kids go through a lot that we don't even realize that they're going through. And I always say, kids don't ask to be here. So it is our responsibility as parents, as adults, to try to help them navigate through whatever challenges that they're having and do our best to make them happy and to, you know, like you said, you always want your kids to have better and more than what you had. And so whatever I have to do, and he knows that too. That's the other thing. He knows that. And that's important, that he knows that I'm there for him.
You know, as you all tell me, you know, you two are the ones that's like handling everything. So, you know, without another parent present daily, how do you create a space for yourself while maintaining a strong connection with your child?
See, this is all new to me. So, you know, they lost their father last year, March 30th. So he was always there. So like, I worked and everything like that, but he picked up where like doctor's appointments, basketball games when I couldn't make it, or just everything, financial stuff. Like, so this is all new to me. So this year has been very, very challenging, especially for my sons, you know, because when you are used to something and you don't have it anymore, and you're used to getting, you know, if I don't have it, then I'm calling my dad, you know, it's hard. So, you know, like, me now, like, this year has passed and I had to learn balance. And that's the main thing, is balance. Because if you don't, you'll be all over the place. And so I had to set like some different rules. I'm like, okay, well, this got to happen this way, this got to happen. You have to have a schedule. And because with them and me, and then to, you know, with my own personal time, I had to make time in between. Sometimes it's hard or whatever, but I would like just go out and I'd be like, all right, you know, tell them now they're at that age where I can just kind of go and be like, all right, I'm gonna go out for a little while and I'll be back, you know. But it's hard, you know, being that only parent and making things happen or whatever, but you have to find a way, or you'll find yourself in, you know, in a frenzy, really, like you don't even know where to turn or whatever. But it's been many a days where I probably done shed tears, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do this, but you gotta pray.
Yeah,
and have
we'll
faith,
figure it out.
and you'll figure it out.
Right.
Okay. And I do have a question for you all. So, you know, Nick and Jazier, as you listen to your moms, you know, kind of speak about their experiences, speak about like how they made life happen for you all in the best kind of way, how does it, you know, make you all feel? What do you all have to say about that?
I mean, so I always, as she mentioned, she was 18 when she had me, so I always felt that dynamic of how close we were in age kind of bonded our relationship, like she mentioned. My friends, as I was going through school, their parents were not in that same age range. They were older, and I would just notice, like, you know, I don't think they have the same relationship with their moms as I have with mine. And sometimes I'd be on the phone with my mom, and my friends would be like, "Who are you talking to?" My mom. They're like, "Oh, that was your sister." I'm like, "No, I talked to my mom. I don't know." Like, they didn't have that kind of same relationship with their parents. So, yeah, I mean, like she mentioned, we went through struggles. Things weren't easy, but she had 4 kids. I was the oldest, so, you know, you kind of just see how hard she worked to make sure we had a roof over our head, make sure we had the things we needed. And I think that's how I became the hard worker that I became. So, I like I was 11 when my dad passed. So for me, it was that weird age where you're about to go into your young manhood, and doing that without a father was, you know, at the time you're just doing it. You're a kid, you're not realizing it. But as I got older and looked back at it, if she wasn't the mom that she was, who knows where I would end up. So I've always tried not to take, as I've gotten older, take the relationship that I have with my mom for granted, because it is easy to fall into that, because she's always just been a good mom. So you just assume that that's the life you're supposed to have. But you see other people in the relationships that they don't have with their parents, or don't have parents at all. And so it just made me feel really grateful for the mom that I ended up with.
Oh, you're so sweet.
How about for you, Jazier? How do you feel about Constance?
I feel like not just my mom, but my mom and my father together. Like when I was maybe 8 years old, and I might have been in second grade, my mom and my dad kind of separated a little bit. So stuff had kind of got, you know, it was kind of different because I was still young. I grew up with, you know, just knowing my mom and my dad just being together. So I had caught myself starting to get, you know, at school, starting to get in trouble a little bit. But then at the time, I just didn't know why, like what was going on. Like I knew that had happened, but it was just, I felt like it was just something that I was having, that I was just going through, but I just didn't know what it was at the time. But I feel like when my dad passed away, my mom, I just realized how strong of a person my mom was and how great my mom was. And I always knew that, but it was just something just totally different. Like it just made me feel a different type of way about my mom. She was just like the best person ever, because without my mom, I don't know where I would be at right now today. And that was just March 30th of last year. So, I mean, before, my mom's always just been that cool mom. Basically everyone's mom, all my friends' mom. She's always been around. My father's always been around. Everyone loves, you know, just my family in general. Friends are over every weekend. She always say, is everybody just gonna come stay at my house? You ever gonna go stay at anyone else's house?
I still say that.
But that's just how it's always.
Like, man, I was like, hey, love cooking at my house.
At the end of the day, you know, she still loved everyone just like they were us. I mean, my little brother, I feel like since my dad has passed away, and I keep talking about my dad passing away because it was just so big and it happened so sudden, to the point to where whatever happened before my younger years were kind of like, now they're kind of like, whatever. Don't really think about them too much. What I think about more now that I'm older is like when my dad passed away, because it seemed like it's been so much, to the point to where my younger years aren't nothing anymore. It's just from this last year, they're just like, it's so much that I've been through. But I tell my mom all the time how much I thank her, because like seriously, I don't know where I would be at without my mother at all.
Thank you for joining me today.
No,
And,
thank you for letting us have this conversation.
Thank you for being mothers as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of Real Conversations, brought to you in partnership with TMBC at the Lincoln Center. And while it's just under 2 weeks away, we want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the moms, single moms, mother figures, and those in between. Know that you are seen, loved, and appreciated.
Real Conversations in the QC is sponsored by Accentra Credit Union.